皆さんこんにちは、ゆかりです。今日はゲストにStuさんをお招きしています。今日はStuさんをお招きして語学留学に来る生徒さんたちへのアドバイスをしてもらいたいと思います。Stuさんは以前ダウンタウンにある語学学校で先生として働いていました。今はオンラインで主に日本人の生徒さんに英語を教えています。ということで、今まで結構日本人の生徒さんに、英語を教えた経験からいろいろ日本人の特徴とか、あとは学校でどういうふうに勉強していったらいいかっていうアドバイスをちょっと今日はお話ししてもらおうと思っています。You worked at the ESL school?
Yes, that's right. Yes, I was a teacher for the advanced class, which was college preparation class, and business English I taught as well, and some beginners as well. I taught a beginner class as well. And so classes included grammar and conversation and communication practice.
Okay, so were there so many Japanese students?
At the school that I worked at, there was quite a lot of Japanese students. So the school had about 30 to 40% was Japanese students, and then about 20 to 30% were Brazilian students, and the rest were a mix of Korean students and Mexican students, some other people from South America, and as well there were some Chinese students as well.
Oh, so it sounds like so many Japanese students.
There were a lot of Japanese students, yes.
Even in lower class or high levels classes?
Yeah, so my higher level class, college preparation class, was actually mostly Japanese for the time.
Mostly Japanese?
For the time that I taught it, yeah. Most of the time, I had about 7 or 8 students in my class most weeks. And there were a few weeks where I had quite a lot of Brazilians, but most of the time it was maybe 5 or 6 out of the 8 people were usually Japanese.
So then, what's your image of Japanese students?
So the Japanese students that I had in my class were always very hardworking, and they showed up to class on time and always did their homework and were very polite. And the areas that they were most strong in were grammar and vocabulary. And those are the 2 areas they're super strong with.
Because they just study.
Yeah, so study a lot.
At the desk.
Study at the desk a lot. And the areas that they were most uncomfortable with were speaking and general communication, general conversation.
What do you mean, general conversation?
So general conversation is responding to somebody else's questions or their topic of conversation. So if we were talking about fashion or something like that, if I asked you a question, you actually have to answer my question, right? And express your opinion. This was difficult for a lot of Japanese students. I think that they're very confident with explaining things they felt very confident about. So example would be their hometown, saying where their hometown was and where they're from and what their favorite sports are and their favorite movies and their favorite kinds of food, things like that. The easy things that you learn first. Very confident and could say those things very easily. But if I was to ask a more difficult question, like, okay, why do you like this movie?
Why?
Why do you like this movie? That was always a difficult question.
It's hard to...
So people would scratch their head. Oh,
It's hard to say our emotion or our idea.
Yeah. To actually explain your thoughts. I mean, that's difficult in your own language, let alone your second language, but...
Yeah.
Still. So, my image of Japanese students is that they're very good students. I always loved having Japanese students in my class because they would participate, and if I gave an exercise, they would try really hard to do the exercise. They were engaged in the class. They really wanted to be there and they wanted to learn. This is really good. But the other side was they're a bit shy in terms of speaking.
But then how can we practice speaking then?
So, one of the mistakes that I think that actually many students do this, and not just Japanese students, but students from all over the world. So they come to a place like Vancouver, and they find an ESL school, and they instantly make friends with people from the same country they are from. So if you are from Korea, then you find another Korean person and you sit next to them in class because they make you feel comfortable. And during break time, you can speak to them in Korean and you feel quite happy and it's nice.
Like most of students are like that, right?
Most students are like
they
that.
have friends from the same countries and they stay together all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And doing that, unfortunately, means that you're even if you're speaking English to that person, like you understand already what English sounds like in a Japanese accent.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable for you to understand that language, and you feel very easy to speak with that person and to talk with them. But if you're sitting next to somebody who is not from your same country or not from your same group, and they speak with a different accent, you have to try much harder to express your thoughts. You have to really try hard to use better English.
Yeah.
You can't just rely upon the other person's understanding of your accent or the words that you use.
Yeah, I talked about totally the same things in the previous video. My previous video. Yeah.
And so my advice to get better at speaking would be, first of all, try and sit next to somebody who's from a different country to you. If you have a group project, try and work with somebody from a different place. And make a rule for yourself that you will not speak your native language as often as possible. So, make a rule for yourself that you say, okay, I can speak Japanese for only 1 hour a day. And every other hour of the day, even if you're speaking to another Japanese person, speak in English. Like, this is hard to do. It's very difficult to do this, but this will help you to learn how to be comfortable with expressing and speaking. And yeah, that's the way to do it. I know it's uncomfortable, but you have to do that.
Okay, so then this is the last question. How should students use their time at school?
Okay. So this is probably the most difficult thing that a student has to deal with. But it's easy just to come to Canada, to go to your classes, to do your homework, then to go home, speak in your native language, talk to your friends, go back online and chat with your friends on your phone and watch Japanese YouTube channels or read news from Japan. And then the next day you come back and then you go back to class and then so every day you're still living your Japanese life. You're just going to an English school in the middle of the day, right? So you're not really immersing yourself in the world of English. So if you want to get better at English, then it's not just a matter of learning grammar rules and understanding vocabulary. You also have to understand how life works in Canada, or how life works in the United States, or how life works in the United Kingdom. There's more to a language than just the words and the grammar. So, with your time while you're here, while you're at school, you should try to engage with people who are native English speakers. You should try to talk to your teachers as much as possible. Ask them about their lives, about who they are, where they live, what's going on. You should try to create some distance between yourself and other people from your own country. This is the hard thing to do because, it's very difficult to to live without being able to talk to somebody naturally, normally. It's very hard. You'll feel quite lonely. But you have to kind of go through the loneliness and go through the discomfort and make friends with people who will help you with your English, not stop you from learning English. And by that I mean, if you're talking to people from your own country, you're not learning English. You have to go and find real situations with real English people. Now that could mean, going to a language exchange. It could mean going to, if you have a sport that you do from your home country, in Japan, finding a club here where you can practice it for a little while you're here. It could just mean going for walks, in parks and public places and talking to people. That's really difficult. But that's real.
Talk to a stranger.
Talk to a stranger. Like if somebody sits down on the bus next to you, just say hello. Or sure, you can take the seat. Or, something little. Because sometimes that starts a conversation.
Yeah.
Somebody will say to you, are you visiting? Are you, where are you from? And if you're talking to a stranger in English, that's real. Those experiences, your English will get way, way better. And you will understand lots more about English culture, about Canadian culture. So, how should you use your time? I think you should try and use your time to be in the world of English as much as possible. As much as you possibly can, be in the world of English. That might mean trying to hang out with your host family, spend time with them. It might mean trying to talk to them as much as possible. But don't stay in your bubble. Go out of your bubble. Go out into the world. Be careful. Take care of yourself, Don't go into dangerous situations, but find something else in the world that you can engage with. That's what I think you should do with your time. And your English, your language, will be really good. Still do your homework, though. Just, do your homework. But also, you have other homework. Other homework is talking to real people, watching real movies, going to shows, going to events, going to places. That's the hard part. 頑張ってね。
で日本人はスピーキング力がすごい弱いっていうか苦手なので、スピーキングの練習を特にしないといけないっていうことなんですけど、日本にいる時から、スピーキングの練習がネイティブの先生とできるっていう、italki っていうサイトがあって、ステューさんがそこでちょっと今先生をしてるので、Do you want to talk about italki?
Sure. So I teach classes on italki.com. It's a really good website for finding professional teachers. You can also find language partners. So just other people who want to speak English. You can find people just, you don't have to pay. But if you want a class with a professional teacher, you can find that as well. And if you want to have a class with me, my link is in the description below. And it's a really good opportunity to start practicing. And
Yeah. ということで、下のリンクチェックしてみてください。ということで、今回は語学学校でどうやって、英語を勉強していったらいいかっていうのをスチュー先生にお伺いしました。もし今回のビデオが少しでも役に立てばいいねをお願いします。ではまた次回お会いしましょう。バイバーイ。バイバイは。
bye bye.